My name is Michael Dieth. I'm Vice President of Corporate Business Development for SailPoint Technologies, and I've spent 25 years largely focused on the challenge of building alliances between mostly small companies and large ones. Yeah, I mean, as part of putting a deal together, as we engage the sales team, certainly on our side, and then eventually, with typically a larger partner, as you start to get into, okay, how are we going to go and generate leads? What is our target? What is our message? Are we selling to an installed base customer? Are we looking for greenfield opportunity? Regardless of the answer to that particular question, one of the things that I think is really important, and we heard this on the panel earlier, was those early deals need to be successful for the alliance to get into a virtuous cycle rather than to the vicious cycle. And so I think it's very important, and we put a lot of focus on it, to make sure that those first deals are not just the first ones that come in over the transom, but they really do fit the model of a good opportunity that we can both go win together. Because that story is so important to the sales organization of the company that you're about to work with. And if you get it right, it's magic. If you get it wrong, it can lead to disaster, particularly if it happens more than once. I think there are two things I'd say to that. The first one is that if there is a real scale issue there, and I've been through this between Novell and IBM, when Novell, in the early 90s, where if every IBM salesperson picked up the phone and called somebody at Novell, we'd have spent the next year and a half answering the telephone and done absolutely nothing else. So that's obviously not a good thing. And so if there really is a sort of a massive scale question, it's important to put the choke on sort of the big side of the problem. You've got a funnel coming in, and you've got a large group of people talking to a small group of people. Channel that energy through the scale side. So in my model case, put those people to calling IBM people, and then have those smaller number of IBM people call the Novell people as an initial process to sort of manage that pipeline, because it's the only way to sort of drive the scale, to manage the scale. I've seen concern on the part of large companies, we heard some of it tonight, that they're concerned that if once they turn on the machine, even if it takes 6 or 9 months or a year to sort of get to that point of turning the machine on, that they're afraid that they're going to swamp the small company. And my experience is, I want that problem. I would like to see that happen. If I'm a 100 person company and I'm dealing with one of the large system companies, I'll scale to meet that problem. I'll see it coming. The pipeline characteristics typically, and certainly in the companies I'm working with, are going to give me visibility. We're going to see it in the pipeline. We're going to see it in activity. If we start seeing that kind of activity, first of all, we'll fly all over the place and work 24 hours a day because we're a small startup, and that's what startups do. Even if we're 3 or 4 or 5 years old, we'll work to satisfy. And by the way, we'll triage, and we'll probably cherry pick the good deals, and we'll get in the virtuous cycle. So that's a good thing, even if we have to defer some. But fundamentally, I'd love to have that problem. Try to create that problem for us, because I think ultimately that would be good if we have that level of success. That's a high-class problem to have.